August the 12th. Thank you for spending a moment with me here. I'm in a bit of a post-Olympic blues. But how about you grab a coffee like me and we are getting smarter together. It's the traveling season. So let's travel together to Egypt, to before what is today known as the First Dynasty, around the middle of the 4th millennium BC. The banks of the river Nile are studded with a survey of tiny kingdoms and courts we can choose from to go, centered around an uber-explorer with a core of blood relatives and a motley collection of other retainers and servants. Tiny as these courts are, they could be quite magnificent in their own ways, leaving behind large tombs filled with sacrifices, including the bodies of killed humans. The most spectacular at Hierakonpolis includes not only a male dwarf, yes, they have been at courts from very, very long ago, but a significant number of teenage girls and what seems to be the remains of a private zoo, a menagerie of exotic animals including 2 baboons and an African elephant. What these courts still lacked, though, is any control of their territories. The massive bureaucracy and military power of later dynastic times. What changed to make these times happen? It all started with a question that was asked, a quite innocent-sounding question. What are the responsibilities of the living towards the dead? As it turns out, this question is everything but innocent, because the desired answer those who raised the question worked towards hacked the human protocol. The power of observation alone can tell us, and told our ancestors for sure, that we as humans don't experience the reality of the physical universe. What we experience is a model of a physical universe we generate ourselves from a very limited set of available data. That set of available data collected by ourselves, again, is very limited compared to all the data available in the physical universe. By Nietzsche, the modeling is geared toward optimizing our chances to interact with the energy patterns that promise the most payoff towards the 2 main goals of all material matter: reaching the lowest energy state and being in equilibrium with the whole of the physical universe, our surroundings. And as we are supposed to be able to engage in as randomized a search as possible for the most promising patterns, because this promises the highest payoff, the risk of such a search is offset by a feature of our word generation called mirroring. It ensures that the self we cut out of the tapestry of the generated model of a word includes data of other patterns. Most importantly, other humans, whose their selves, goals, and ours overlap, and we support each other. That's by nature. The question about the responsibilities of the living toward the dead could also be rephrased as, do patterns ever leave the support network we naturally feel between each other? The answer derives from the rules of a self-generation process of a model of a world we live in as humans is no. Our mutual support is necessary so the material things that make us up can strive to achieve their goals in an active search. Death ends the ability to engage in an active search. So no. But the initial focus on creating the self, what is the actor with which we engage with the physical universe and whose it is where everything begins, makes it appear to us as if the world is maintained and updated by an outside entity, even though it is done by our mind as well. It takes practice to overcome this feeling of having another entity creating the world you just witness, and gaining control again of this process of creating the world. Practice requires the free access to information. Because you need to know, and here I come back to what I talked about on Saturday, you need to know that there are limits before you can strive to overcome the limit. And when you don't have the information, when you don't even know there is something that limits you, you can't overcome that. When you limit the information, and you can manipulate the answer to the question whether deaf ancestors should get the same support as the living. And you can say, yes, of course. They belong to the same network, to the same support network, because that's what the gods say, for example. In the Nile Valley around 3500 BC, people did get it into their heads that ancestors got hungry and needed feeding, what required something which at the time can only have been considered a rather exotic and perhaps luxurious item of food: leavened bread and fermented wheat beer. Families who found themselves unable to command the resources for leavened bread, so yeast and wheat, and fermented wheat beer, so wheat, and that wasn't easy to come around at that time. Sufficient quantities of arable land to grow wheat were necessary, as well as the means to maintain a plough and oxen. The plough was a technology that has come into fashion at that time as well. Had to obtain beer and loaves elsewhere. Well, with the people you can guess, with the Uber Explorer, with their courts, creating networks of obligation and debt that eliminated the existing natural support networks. The obligation also made it impossible for those now peasants, or later slaves, to freely explore, defying why cells came together in us humans. That's the danger of forgetting that it's us generating our own reality, and that the process is a tool. Others, perfectly aware of the fact, can manipulate us to achieve what they have come to believe are their personal goals in their self-generated world. As so imaginary, but well, they have some more knowledge. The word generation of each one of us today is influenced by more or less successful manipulation attempts that in some instances started several thousand years ago and still work on our mind, on our own world generation. Take control again. Explore, also known as think. Make a habit out of thinking. Let's turn thinking into the norm again. Like, comment, share, and follow, lest you miss a single opportunity to improve yourself and society. Once you do, we meet again at the coffee pot.